I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I bought a lot of books in January. I think there were two main reasons for that. One was this kept me home and sad, so, you know, book buying is the way that I cope with things apparently. And two, I was getting very into mystery as a genre, and I'm excited to read more from that genre. So, I mean, I'm set for the rest of the year for all my mystery, what can I say? So this is just a good old-fashioned book haul. Let's talk about all of the books that I've bought lately. We have one contemporary YA, a handful of fantasy, and the rest are all mystery. So let's work through in that order. The contemporary YA is honestly a pretty beat up secondhand copy of Lorinda by Alice Pung. Alice is an Australian author. She actually lives very local to me, so she's a little bit of like a local celebrity. I've read a handful of her books. This is her YA title that we sell an awful lot of at work, so I want to know what the hype's all about. From what I've heard, this is set in a private girls' school and it tackles themes of wealth, class, and privilege. Then I actually managed to pick up a couple of library books for 50 cents each, and these are actually going to have to be added to my list of big books. The first is Middle Game by Shauna Maguire. This is a book that so many people love. I've heard many people on BookTube describe it as one of their favorites of all time. The only thing I know about this one is that the main characters' names are Roger and Dodger. And honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about it. And I think it's about these two characters using alchemy to try and achieve godhood or something bonkers like that. And for the sake of my big book challenge, this comes in at 528 pages. Then another book that I picked up from the library for 50 cents and will also have to be added to my big book challenge of 2023 is Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is the first in the Greenbone saga, and I've heard incredible things about this urban fantasy series. This is 500 pages, so it barely scrapes into my big book challenge, but I'm gonna count it. It's pretty huge. Jade City is an epic tale of blood, family, honor, and those who live and die by ancient laws in a changing world. This honestly sounds quite dark and dramatic and intense, so I'm honestly not sure how I'm gonna go. But I mean, this is one of the most beloved fantasy series of the last, what, like 5-10 years? So I've been wanting to try it out at least. Then I actually bought this at the end of November before this happened. I got a novella by Catherine M. Valenti. It's Comfort Me with Apples. This is described as a dark fairy tale with horror and mystery elements, and honestly, after how much I enjoyed The Past Is Red last year, I was just keen to try more from the author. And then the last fantasy book that I picked up, I got this secondhand online, and it is The Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk. I read Even Though I Know How It Ends late last year, and I absolutely adored it, so I do want to read more from C.L. Polk, and when I found this for a bargain secondhand online, I couldn't say no. I think, like Even Though I Know How It Ends, this is a fantasy with very heavy romantic elements. It's a sweeping romantic new fantasy about a sorceress who must balance her desire to become the first great female magician against her duty to her family. And now we're on to the mystery books, which will be the bulk of this video. Firstly, I did pick up books 1 and 2 of Finlay Donovan. Don't ask me why I bought both at the same time. I was excited after my mystery reading vlog that I did in January, and I've already started this one. I'm like 100 pages in, and it's fucking bonkers. I have no other words for it. But I'm hoping I like it enough to continue on, and I am intending on doing a reading vlog for this. This is about a single mum who ends up getting caught up in some like pretty serious murdery crime activity. Then another series that I mentioned in my first mystery reading vlog that I want to try next is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And I got the box set on sale. After really enjoying the Agathas and pretty much every GoodReads review of that book saying that it's comparable in some way to A Good Girl's Guide for Murder, like I just have to try it out. I feel like I'm the last person on earth to read this series, but I'm hopeful it'll be a good time. This next one I found at Savers. It's Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stephen. This is an Australian murder mystery that was released last year, and apparently it's Agatha Christie meets Knives Out in this fiendishly clever blend of classic and modern murder mystery. Apparently it's an engrossing whodunit with an ingenious twist, and the best opening to a crime novel that Jack Heath has ever read. I have no idea who Jack Heath is, but that sounds promising. This next bunch of books I managed to get at the Book Grocer, which is like a Remainders book website and shop here in Australia, which basically just means I got total bargains. The first is Devil in a Blue Dress by Walter Mosley. This is apparently the 30th anniversary edition of the book, so I think it's a little bit of a classic. It's set in 1948 in the City of Angels, and apparently Daphne, a very beautiful woman, goes missing with a truckload of somebody else's money. And I loved this quote on the back. It says, "What makes Mosley so important in American literature is not just his ability to pen novels that grab you by the throat, but the way his heroes reflect the uncertainty, the fears, and the moral dilemmas of America." I'd honestly never heard of this author or this book before. I dived into trying to find some more mysteries, but it does sound very intriguing. I quite like this cover, and I also like that it's quite short. Then we have A Will to Kill by R.V. Rahman. Apparently this feels very much like a traditional Golden Age style mystery, and the New York Times says a modern day take on the classic locked room murder mystery. I think there's a landslide which leaves an estate quite isolated, and then they find a body and things start happening from there. This next one was honestly a bit of a wild card, but I wanted to give it a go. It's A Lady's Guide to Etiquette and Murder by Diane Freeman. Also, this book is super floppy, which honestly points for that already. And this is a murder mystery with like very clearly romantic and historical elements. The setting is a London social season in Victorian England. This lighthearted debut tale of mystery, love, and a delightful sleuth will leave you wanting more. Then a book that I'm primarily curious about because of the GoodReads Choice Awards and like the dialogue that was happening around it is The Maid by Nita Prose. I don't know a lot about this book, and honestly I want to go into it knowing very little. All that I know is that some people absolutely adore this book and everybody else seems to hate it. Apparently it's a gripping and heartwarming whodunit. So like, I don't know, I feel hopeful that I could like it. And honestly, this is one of those books where the discussion has intrigued me almost more than the book itself. So I don't know, it's just a bit of a fun experiment, I think. Then we've got A Murder at Malabar Hill, and I really like this cover. I think it's really pretty. This is set in 1920s Bombay, and apparently our protagonist is a courageous, likable, and determined young lawyer turned sleuth. It sounds like a wealthy old man has died and left 3 widows, and our main character as a lawyer is having to deal with his will. But it turns out that these 3 women have supposedly left all of the fortune to charity, which is going to leave them with nothing. And so she's concerned about these women and starts to look into things a little bit more. Murder happens. I don't know. We'll have to see where it goes from there. Next, we have The Missing American. And honestly, I'm wondering if this is going to be one that might be a little bit too on like the thriller edge of things for me personally. It's set in Ghana and it's featuring a young private female detective who's desperate to prove her worth. So gets herself involved in a whole like dangerous situation of murder and secrets and corruption. It could be fun or it could just be a little bit too intense for me, but I thought it might be worth trying. And now our last lot of books are all cozy mysteries, very solidly and specifically cozy mysteries. I think technically I've only tried one cozy mystery so far, and that was the Frangipani Tree mystery by Ovidio U, which I didn't really love, so it is a genre that I want to try more. The first is Death by Bubble Tea, which is honestly an example of a book that I just had to buy for the title alone. It's a delicious page turner of a mystery, and when I was looking at the quotes inside the book, I got really excited because a lot of them are talking about a talking cat, but that turns out to be from a different book by this author, so I feel like maybe I need to check that out too. It's called The Sassy Cat Mystery. This book though is about 2 cousins who start a food stall at their local night market, and like murder ensues, obviously. Also, I love that on the back it says that the book includes recipes. Well, that's exciting, isn't it? Then another one that I'm sure a lot of people will know of already is Death by Dumpling by Vivian Chien. This is another cozy murder mystery with like a very food heavy theme set in a restaurant, all of that good stuff. It seems like our main character Lana is kind of down on her luck, so she returns home and just starts waiting tables at her family restaurant when the restaurant's property manager turns up dead after eating shrimp from the restaurant. The next one's a cozy mystery with a queer romance included, and that is Murder at Pirates Cove. And honestly, it was the name of the series that got me. Secrets and Scrabble. Ellery Page, aspiring screenwriter, Scrabble champion, and guy with the worst luck in the world when it comes to dating, is ready to make a change. He inherits a failing bookstore in a small town called Pirates Cove. And while he's settling in and trying to get this bookstore up and running, the owner of the rival bookstore in town dies. So I think this is one of those situations where our main character is going to be one of the prime suspects in the murder, and in order to prove himself innocent, he has to kind of get to some investigating of his own. Then we have The Unexpected Inheritance of Inspector Chopra. This is the first in a series, and honestly, I think this might be the one I'm most excited about out of all of these. This series is called the Baby Ganesh Agency series, and in the first installment, we find out that Inspector Chopra, who is ready to retire, he inherits a baby elephant. But as his murder investigation leads him across Mumbai, from its richest mansions to its murky underworld, he quickly discovers that a baby elephant may be exactly what an honest man needs. And so begins the start of a quite unexpected partnership and an utterly delightful new series. Honestly, that all just sounds so cozy and appealing to me. And the quotes from like The Guardian and stuff are all using words like charming, endearing, enchanting, whimsical, atmospheric. These are all buzzwords for me. I'm so excited for this one. Next, we have another queer cozy mystery, and it's The Less Than Spectacular Times of Henry Milch. The title's quite a mouthful. I think it's about Henry, our main character, who's like down on his luck when he discovers a body in the snow. And when he finds out that there's a reward for any information that will lead to, you know, the arrest of the murderer, he decides he's going to do some investigating and hopefully get some money to help him out. But when he finds out that there's a cash reward available for anybody who provides information that leads to the arrest of whoever did the murdering, Henry figures he'll do a little bit of investigating, hopefully win that cash reward and turn his luck around. Then a book that I managed to get secondhand on eBay is A Spell for Trouble by Esme Addison. comparison. And honestly, this cover just did it for me with the little German Shepherd and the tea and the window. Oh my God. I don't know yet whether I'm a cozy mystery reader, but I definitely am someone who appreciates the cozy mystery covers and titles, also the titles. This is a story about uncovering secrets like family affairs and even secrets around ancestry. Apparently it's the perfect blend of thrill, whimsy, magic, and romance. Ooh, and also apparently there's mermaids? I don't know, I'll have to read it and find out. And then finally, it hasn't arrived yet, but I had to show you this other book. It's The Plot is Murder. And honestly, like, I remember reading the blurb and some reviews and it sounds good, but this cover is my favorite cover. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you will know that we are a poodle family household. My parents had 2 poodles. Henry died last year. They still have a standard poodle. I have a toy poodle that I inherited from my grandfather. We stand poodles in this household and this cover is everything. So like I said, an awful lot of books were purchased in the month of January, but come on, you have to admit that a lot of these sound really good. And it's great because then my shelves are full of books that I've already done all the research, I've already read the reviews, I've already done the sifting through and trying to find the gems. And now I just have lots of great options on my shelf that I'm so excited to get to. As with my big book video, I would love to hold all of these up for you because like I think that would just make a great thumbnail, but it's not gonna happen. I'll try and hold up a few, but anyway, those are all the books that I bought in January. Yes, it is probably too many, but what can I say? I'm excited about them. Let me know which ones you're most excited about and which ones you would like to see me read in vlogs. A big thank you to my wonderful patrons over on Patreon, and especially a big thank you goes to Livia, Lynette Brown, and Marie for their very generous support. And thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me, chatting books. I'll talk to you in the comments and in the next video. Until then, happy reading. Bye.